Hey everybody, Dave here, Hidden Fruit Investing. In today's video, we're going to go over a Fundrise update. It's been, I don't know, probably about 3 months since I've done an update. And they've changed some stuff in the account and all that. So I'm going to kind of go over Q1 for my Fundrise account, kind of go through the history as well. If you're new here to my channel, then maybe you haven't seen any of my Fundrise videos. I've done quite a few in the past. I don't do them as often as I used to. But I do try to do one at least every quarter because, there's, gets paid a dividend and other stuff like that as well. But they also changed the platform here a little bit recently, so it kind of looks a little bit different. So we're going to go over all of those changes and look at my account today. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're looking at my account here. I got $16,000 in the account at this time. And, like I said, if you're new here or maybe you just don't remember, but I did start this account in September of 2018. So literally coming up on 3 years. This year will be my 3-year mark. I've kind of ramped it up pretty quickly and then even deposited more there. I think I sold a house right there and just deposited another $5K in there. And then this little dip right here was them allowing early out of the National E-Fund. I think that happened late last year, so November-ish time frame of last year. They kind of emailed everybody and said, hey, we're offering a one-time out of this National E-Fund while we consolidate all of our E-Funds, which are the K1 generating investments. And I just took that opportunity to liquidate that $1,700 that I had in that National E-Fund, which generates that K1, because I'm tired of dealing with that darn K1. It's the second year I had to deal with it. And I actually just took that money out of the account. I actually didn't even redeposit the cash back into any of the other funds. But so far, I've been kind of just building up here by either reinvesting the dividend or just taking money outside of my lending club account, which is going to be closed down. But, there's about $50 or so that comes out of that every month. And then I've just been putting it in here. So right now, we do stand at $16,028. And right now we are invested in 123 projects. And I know lately they've been investing, kind of adding a lot of new projects lately. Here's one on the 26th of April. Here's one on the 23rd. And actually, there might even be a couple in there for every one of them. So, $12 million. So that probably means it's more than just one, right? But looks like it's a complex there. This one looks like it is a new community as well, $2 million. Here's another one on the 23rd, 8 homes in that one. Another one on the 23rd, another 9 homes there. Another one on the 23rd, 5 homes. On the 20th here, looks like we have another development there, $16 million. And then the 16th, so just going back quite a ways, there's a bunch of them there. So they've been adding a lot of new projects to the portfolio. And they build that up. Right now, they've kind of changed the way this looks right here. In the past, it had looked different, and they kind of break out the allocation, the strategy. So most of my funds are in the fixed income, got a little bit of the core plus, some value add, and then some opportunistic there. So right now, that looks pretty good. If we go to the dividends here, this is the dividend I just received in April. So April 13th, I received $186 in dividends. That got paid out. I'm not reinvesting my dividends at this time. And I might choose to do that again. I'm just not really sure. I do have a new strategy, but we'll talk about that here in a second as well. So let's just look at the performance right now for Q1 and see what's going on here. So right now, here is Q1. These are all of the different funds here, E-REITs. And notice that National E-Fund is gone, but we also have the interval fund right there. The interval fund is kind of cool because they do let you liquidate that at any time you want. I think as long as the money's been in there for at least a year, if I'm not mistaken. But then after that, you can liquidate it anytime you want. So that's kind of cool. It is ramping up. So we'll talk about that as well. But right now, Q1, we're up at 1.4%. And you're probably thinking, Dave, well, that wouldn't even put you at 6% at the end of the year. And well, there's going to be some capital return. Usually, the last quarter, there's a lot of capital return from some of their other projects that may, produce some gains, that they're going to realize. So last year we actually had, let's go ahead and just look at the performance for last year real quick here. So last year we had a 7.5% return. And like I said, Dave, you're thinking, well, Dave, that's 7.5%. That's not really that good, but it did outperform the VNQ last year. And, last year was a pandemic and they did shut down some of their, redemptions for a while and all that. But in general, they actually managed their portfolio quite well. And I actually was pretty surprised with 7.5% return. I thought it was going to be about 5 to 6%. So I was actually very surprised and actually very ecstatic to get 7.5% return out of this particular platform. And this year, I would expect them to be north of 8%. That's pretty much standard for Fundrise. And you can kind of consider Fundrise being very similar to maybe a VNQ, although it's not quite as diversified as a VNQ is. But they are, across a lot of different types of properties, not just, residential, it's commercial, it's fix and flips, it's build from scratch, it's communities. So, you're kind of getting a lot of different exposure here. They invest in real estate notes. They actually have apartments, long-term leases, and all that stuff. So there's quite a bit of diversification with this platform. And obviously, like I said, it's not as much as VNQ, and that's perfectly fine, right? This just brings a whole different ball game or a whole different repertoire to your portfolio that you can't really get exposure to anywhere else unless you're, an accredited investor or something like that. So clicking on my portfolio here, this is the current portfolio as it stands right now. And my plan going forward is, because like I said, I did not reinvest the last dividend. And so the plan is to maybe get out of some of these here down the road, because I think I'm still another probably 2 to 3 years out of get out of some of these. And then to kind of funnel some of those funds into the interval fund here, because I like the opportunity to be able to take the money out when I need it or if I need it. If you're not, familiar, I am going to fire or retire early next year, and 2022 is the plan. And I don't know, how the taxes situation is going to be, but right now, everything in this platform, it doesn't matter whether or not you can reinvest the dividends or not. This is all unqualified dividends, so that's going to count towards ordinary income or whatever standard income. I don't know what that counts as. It's definitely unqualified dividends. So in order to control that, I might want to put the funds in interval fund here. That way, if things aren't working in my favor with taxes, then I can liquidate that and not have to take a penalty of anywhere from 2 to 3% or something like that, depending on when you invested in the platform. In addition to, I'd say right now, every single one of these here, these different funds or E-REITs, they require a separate 1099 DIV. And so you have to, file a separate one of those for every one of them. So, granted, if you've already done your taxes with Fundrise before, then most of these are already entered in there. Unless you entered a new one for the new tax season, you would have to enter that new one the next filing season. So right now, for every one of these in here, I had to file a 1099 DIV. And that kind of gets a little cumbersome, kind of a pain in the butt. So, and thankfully, I was able to get out of that National E Fund, so I don't got to deal with that K1 anymore. So, this year that I filed taxes in April, I didn't have to, that was the very last time I had to deal with the National E Fund, and I won't have to deal with it in 2022. So one of the reasons why I'm waiting on reinvesting the dividends right now is just because there was no projects in the interval fund. And right now, I think there are some new projects in there. So let's go and take a look. So there's 11 active projects in there now. But literally just about 3 months ago, there was nothing in there at all. So, I actually have about $229 in there, and that wasn't really invested. And you can see I didn't receive anything in unpaid dividends, and I'm still not receiving anything from the interval fund in unpaid dividends at this time. So we got Core Plus and Value Add in there. And I don't know what type of other properties are going to put in there. If there's going to be something that generates dividends, I'm not really sure. But that was one of the reasons I was just holding off on reinvesting the dividends for right now until some projects got added in there. and that stuff can be started to be working for me. I don't want capital sitting in a fund that has no projects and it's ramping up. It's still ramping up here, but it's not making any money for me. So I just wanted to get projects in there, and it looks like they have 11 in there. Until that actually starts producing some sort of return, I'm not going to go ahead and put more money into the interval fund with my by reinvesting my dividends at this time. So you're thinking, okay, Dave, how do I invest in the interval fund directly? Okay, so what you can do is you go to portfolio up here and you go to fund details. And if you go to fund details, you can see the link up here. Okay, that link you can go to directly if you want, and click on invest here. And from the invest here, you have the option right here to do a direct investment to the interval fund. So at this point here, I think you can go as small as $50 if I'm not mistaken. So let me try 30 and see what it says. Okay, well, it lets me go below 50. So what about 10? Okay, so the lowest is 10. So it looks like they changed that, because before it was a little bit higher than that as well. I think it was a 50. I think it was $100 at one point. So that's pretty good. So if you want to directly invest to the interval fund, you have that option right there. Just make sure you use that link at the top here, because if it's not in your portfolio already, you might not be able to get to it how I got to it. Okay, so you might not have this portfolio option up here because it's not going to be in your portfolio already. Then you're going to have to use that direct link. So everybody may be in a different situation than I'm in. Like I said, I kind of put my portfolio to the supplemental income plan. And originally it was the plus plan, but I kind of backed that off because I don't want to deal with the K1. And, the dividends was the most important thing to me, not the capital appreciation. So because I'm going to retire, I wanted more dividends. I wanted to get paid out every quarter. So that was what I focused my account on. So maybe your account, maybe you got 10 years out, maybe you got 20 years out. Maybe, the balance plan is better for you. Maybe the high growth plan is better for you. But for me, that's the reason why I selected the supplemental income plan. And I did a couple of different videos, but if you want to take a look at the video up at the top up here, that talks about the reason why I went to the supplemental income plan. So it's up to you. But obviously your situation's different than mine. So anyways, that is the update for Q1 of 2021. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, go leave a comment below. You can hit me up on Facegram, Twitter, or you shoot me an email if you like as well. Until next time, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.